Tonight, more documents related to the Russian probe are being turned over to the House and Senate Intelligence Committees. Will it be enough to end the Russia collusion investigation? Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every one of these episodes starts the same way. I thank each and every one of you guys, the subscribers especially, because you guys make this channel possible. You're what make this voice loud, and if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please come to your landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, you'll be notified as soon as these videos get posted, because as soon as information is made available to me, I make it available to you. Now, we're going to look at the latest Q posts, and we're going to talk about them. We still haven't had anything, any updates on the Q&A that will be coming up here within the next, who knows, one speculative guess that we talked about in the last episode, just to recover it, was that it said forthcoming, and obviously the 4th of July is coming. So could that be saying that that's when we're going to hear from Q again? Who knows? We may not hear from Q until then, but if we do, hopefully there'll be more information to be shared. But until then, we're going to keep doing what we do every day, which is expose truth. And what I want to talk about is the last few posts that Q gave us. And why are these posts so important? Well, beside the proof of Q, which was, kind of celebrating the 17-month anniversary of the Trump administration, having the rally in Minnesota where President Trump points to the gentleman who's wearing a Q t-shirt, as we saw in this video here. If you guys want to watch that video, I'm not going to go over here. You can go back here to this video and watch these if you want to get into where we're at now, like all the updates basically and what we've been going over. But these next few posts, to me, were really important. And why were they important? Well, it says, we told you proofs were going to be very important soon. New eyes, be ready. 5-5, we thank you for your service, Q. All right, so basically 5-5 has been given as like a code that we use here. It can mean a few different things. It's been used just as a straight up code, 5 fingers that were put by President Trump on a card and it had a message saying, a message to the ANONs basically, all the way up to like 5 minutes, and 5 minutes being a connection between like tweet times and stuff like that. But it's actually a symbol, or it's known to mean like loud and clear in radio communication community, I guess. But saying we thank you for your service and all that stuff, what's happening now is at the end on Friday, when we left off basically talking about all the Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and the tainted bias at the FBI with regard to the fact that the investigation had been going into President Trump before he became the president, which means that they were basically doing it to his campaign. And so we're going to talk about that. That's what we're going to get into at the end of this episode. So stick around for that, because what we're going to cover there is about how President Trump's case against this investigation has become so strong that it's almost undeniable that the Russia investigation is going to end and the Mueller probe will cease to be functioning as it is today. But the new eyes are coming up. People are waking up to this every day. I see more and more news stories that are just covering news that I've been wanting to see out there since the beginning, but it's still not enough, because it's still not the truth. It's still not talking about globalists, the Satanists, the Luciferians, the pedophiles, the child sacrificing, all of this evil that exists out there, guys, that we are shining a light on, because that's what we do. We're not here to just play tiddlywinks. And this is what we have to be ready for, is whatever's coming next. And it says here, we stand, we fight together, organized riots being planned, countermeasure in place, resistance far smaller than portrayed by mainstream media, attacks will intensify. You collectively are a massive threat. Censorship applied to scale down impact reach. It's failing. Trust yourself. Public awakening. Q. Okay, guys, the public awakening is happening. And the old guard, the establishment elite, like Maxine Waters, they don't want to see that. Let's listen to what she has to say. And this was a great tweet here by Kyle Morris. He actually wrote, Maxine Waters implies that people should turn against and harass those within the Trump administration that defend President Trump's agenda. Trump derangement syndrome is real. Maxine Waters is living proof. Now, what this all correlates back to is Kristen Nielsen, the home Department of Homeland Security secretary, who's being basically like attacked by people with these protests at her house when she's out to eat, and it's unfathomable to see such deranged individuals out there actually targeting public officials as if that is the way we're supposed to run this republic that we are in. Listen, no matter what, I don't think anybody should be targeted outside of their job. It's fair to go and talk to a woman when she's in a press conference and a press briefing and ask her questions, but it's a whole nother thing to stalk her, to sit outside of her house. And then all of these liberals, notice, it's not just Maxine Waters, but all of these liberals are coming out, Peter Fonda and others, who are basically calling for harassment of others, calling for the targeted attacks of others. And this is their last ditch. This is becoming their last ditch effort, I would say. Because they've tried, ignoring us. They've tried degrading us. They've tried defaming, mocking us, and now they've literally come to their full circle where it's now they have to attack us, and they're not just attacking, anyone. They're picking people out specifically who are trying to deliver change and be effective agents of good in our country. Think about it. This is the Department of Homeland Security, the secretary of that, it baffles my mind to think that these people think it's okay to come into a restaurant and to harass her when she's not in her office. I mean, but I digress. It just really, this is what they're doing. This is the Trump derangement syndrome. Please watch.
Of Kristen Nielsen, the Secretary of Homeland Security, in light of what we've seen happen over these last few days, are you going to add your name to those ranks? Do you think she should step aside?
Oh, absolutely. She should step aside. I have no sympathy for these people that are in this administration who, know it's wrong what they're doing on so many fronts, but they tend to not want to confront this president or even leave, but they know what they're doing is wrong. And I want to tell you, for these members of his cabinet who remain and try to defend him, they're not going to be able to go to a restaurant. They're not going to be able to stop at a gas station. They're not going to be able to shop at a department store. The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest. They're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you. This is wrong. This is unconscionable. We can't keep doing this to children.
And then did we?
Well, there you go. So listen, what this reminds me of is how Q's been telling us, they will not be able to walk down the street. Well, guess what? They got that message, and now they put their hit squads out on the street to make it so that the good people, those who are acting out of courage and out of bravery, patriotism, love of God and country, they're being targeted. Okay, and this is real. This is happening. They know. Maxine Waters knows there's going to come a day where she won't be able to walk down the street. She won't be able to go anywhere without being harassed because she's probably already living a small a snippet of that right now. And it has to do not with an antagonistic approach here. It's like, once people find out you've done things, you're not going to be able to walk down a street without being accosted by people who are going to basically look at you with shame or anger or whatever. So this is where we have to work hard to become better and not fall into the trap of being like them, because this is what they do. It's their best defense mechanism. I mean, you look at a guy like Tom Arnold, this has been washed up loser, who, basically is about as famous as, that dog that does the MTV awards. That's a hand puppet. This guy who wants to talk bad about Roseanne, who's made a very great career and has been a respectable individual who's done amazing things in her work. this guy, he is beyond me. And it's the same thing that we talked about in the last episode where we talked about how he basically, it's all fake now. You see, it's completely, nobody's even talking about it. It was all a big publicity stunt. His whole thing that we went over, if you guys want to get a better idea of it, watch the last episode. But his whole thing was that he has tapes with Trump, or the whole, but it's not that. His whole show is about trying to find tapes that may or may not exist. And then he basically lied and said that he was going to go spend the whole weekend with Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, and they're going to collude. Talk about collusion, right? They're going to collude to find evidence of wrongdoing, which, the only thing I could see happening there is if Michael Cohen actually did sit down with him, only thing he could be able to take away from that is a charge of violating his attorney-client privilege and possibly, I'm not even sure if he's still got his bar association whatever certificate. But so I digress. What do we see here? We actually see that this was his tactic, right? So what he decided to do was very interesting. He decided to just become this anti-Roseanne thing. But this is what it doesn't matter about that because, they're exes and whatever. What I want to talk about is the way he talks about how he saw her Twitter feed. And we all know, if you watch Roseanne Barr's Twitter feed for about 10 minutes, you're going to get red pilled, and you're going to get red pilled fast because there's no nonsense there. It's like boom, 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 and she gets it done. Well, how about this, right? Let's hear him talk to Anderson Cooper. I think this is from May 30th about when her show got canceled. This is him doing you can see he's enjoying this. And then he enjoyed that little 15 minutes of fame so much that when it slipped away, he had to get it back somehow. So now CNN called him, and he probably called them up and was like, I got tapes. And they're like, yeah, we'll have anyone on because we're CNN and we don't really vet anything or do any kind of research. We just tell stories that support our narrative because that's how we pick news. But let's go ahead and watch this really quick right now.
Tom, thanks for being with us. Sorry it's under these circumstances. I'm wondering first, when you saw Roseanne's tweets yesterday, I'm just wondering what went through your mind. Were you surprised?
Well, I was not surprised that what went down and that the show was canceled. I had a feeling this was going to happen when I first heard it was coming back, that there was a reboot. And
you thought this might happen? Why?
Yeah. I just know. When I heard about her politics, I knew she was when I read her social media in the very beginning, and I saw how she was so into the conspiracy stuff with Donald Trump, and so how far gone she was, and the Pizzagate, and Hillary's a pedophile, and Obama wasn't born here, and she was, a birther, and how crazy that was. I just knew that this would not end well.
Yep. There you go. Right out of his mouth for you to hear. What is he saying? I mean, he's saying, when I read her social media and saw how much of a Trump conspiracy theorist she is, and then he talks about the pedophilia, and he talks about it as in it's laughable and it's unreasonable to suspect that there's a big, larger conspiracy of pedophiles who are working to cover each other and use it as blackmail. See, that's the thing. Who knows what's in some of these people's closets? That's really what I ventured, especially the two gentlemen on screen right now. I'm not venturing, I guess, to say what's in their particular closets, but I can tell you right now that what happens, and it's like joining a gang, and we've talked about this before, the whole pedophilia blackmail thing is they get you into their little club, and then they get you on tape, or they get you involved in some kind of horrifically terrible act. And that's if you're on the top level. I mean, not the top level. I mean, like the surface, kind of scratching the surface. Like, if you're into it really deep, then you're into even more sick and disgusting things that are evil. And I don't even want to go over them. Suffice it to say that they involve, evil things with children, right? But what they do is they get you with that little thing that they can ruin you with, and they can turn your whole life upside down with, and they use that to turn the screws on you. And this is, to me, could or could not be the case with some people involved in this story. So, and they're just doing their best to cover their own you-know-whats as they turn tail and run away into their little fake news land where they think they can just get away with anything. What I thought was interesting is long before this is read this part, right? This is cool. Long before it's not cool, but it's interesting. Long before her racist tweet to Valerie Jarrett, Arnold was aware of her social media behavior and told Cooper that he was surprised that ABC decided to revive the show because of that. It says, "I figured someone would take her phone away or monitor her." He said, "They risked a lot. I tweeted a lot to watch out because I could see it coming." Listen, what does this sound like? What about freedom of speech? What about you go and do a job and you're an actor, but you can have the freedom of thought outside of that? And that in order to become an actor, you have to be controlled or monitored, right? Guys, it's like he's laying it out for us to look and go, okay, I see. It's all about control. Like they need to they would monitor her to keep her from talking about the truth of what's going on. So I just thought that was interesting. Thought it just warranted a little bit of a further dive. And this is how the media portrays, especially Time magazine, as we know, with their fake news cover that they put out there with Trump looming over a crying child, which is insanity. It's just completely ridiculous. But this is the same company that goes and calls out the fact that Roseanne Barr has a history of racist tweets and conspiracy theories. Come on. Come on. And now they're going to bring Roseanne back without Roseanne. Good luck with that. I hope that show tanks without her, even though I'm sure she wants the best for all of her friends and coworkers who lost a job. To me, it's like, how can I get excited about that? Supporting that kind of behavior by a corporate megalith like that. But I mean, if you guys want to support Roseanne and she wants to support the show, by all means, go support the show. I'm not going to say yay or nay on that. I'm just going to say my personal opinion is. So it's sad. It's sad that it comes to this because it was a good show. So I hate to have taken so much time to talk about that. That was about 17 minutes of covering that. But it has to be said. It has to be said. Sorry. So there you go. Major Wall Street Journal opinion piece today talking about the Russian witch hunt and the disgrace that it is. So many people hurt, so bad for our country, a total sham. Yes, it is. Here is the Wall Street Journal story. This is Mueller's fruit of the poisonous tree. Now, what this article is, it says, it makes no difference how honorable he is. His investigation is tainted by the bias that attended its origin in 2016. This article goes on to explain, and I'm not going to read it word for word, but I'm going to kind of glance over some of the important things. It explains how Inspector General Horowitz's investigation uncovered a very, very pronounced anti-Trump bias held by some of the top investigators involved with both the Hillary Clinton investigation and the subsequent investigation into the Trump campaign's collusion with Russia, or suspected collusion with Russia. Let's break this down into some digestible pieces. Basically, before President Trump was even elected, an operation was started at the FBI with, I think, the approval of the DOJ. And it was to investigate the possibility of the President Trump Russian collusion inquiry, I guess. It was codenamed Operation Crossfire Hurricane. This was subsequent to the FBI, but it was subsequent to, but also co-aligning with the Clinton email investigation. This investigation both investigations were basically ran by the Counterintelligence Division of the FBI, who was in charge of the counterintelligence agency or section at the FBI. It was Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok has been proven through his text message correspondences with Lisa Page and others at the FBI, to have expressly shown a direct bias against President Trump in the fact that he despised President Trump and said things that he would, suggesting that he would stop President Trump from being elected, and that if President Trump were elected subsequently, an insurance policy would ensure that President Trump would never stay or remain elected President of the United States. Now, this particular article goes on to explain that there was a bias that directly affected the FBI's specific actions with regard to the Hillary Clinton email investigation. That spurred the Trump-Russia collusion inquiry, which has been basically suggested to be the insurance policy that was referred to by Peter Strzok in his attempt to stop President Trump. Because to date, there's been no evidence produced that President Trump colluded with any Russians in order to do anything to undermine our democracy, other than to if Russia wanted to make America great again and our just complete whole all the way in U.S. patriots. Other than that, I don't know what they did. Right? Okay, going forward. So Inspector Horowitz is actually, this article actually goes on to also say that he's going to be investigating further this Operation Crossfire or Hurricane, because that wasn't included in the Inspector General's report. The Inspector General's report only covered what was going on with the text messages between Peter Strzok and what was, basically outlining what happened with the Hillary Clinton investigation with regard to having all these biased individuals involved, right? It didn't go into anything with regard to the further like what happened with the biased, and more importantly, what it didn't go into was what was discovered on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Now, it's so important to read this article in the guise of understanding that Anthony Weiner's laptop is going to be one of the biggest pieces of evidence in this whole thing, because it ties so much together. It's got all the emails. It's got the evidence of crimes against children. It's got the whatever. I mean, who knows what else, right? Thousands of classified, hundreds of thousands, it seems like. There was 300,000 emails of that. However many were classified, I'm not sure. Then you have the evidence that's noted in the Inspector General's report that was evidence of crime against children, whatever that means. Nobody's given us a full explanation on that, beside to say that Anthony Weiner's laptop was possibly used to talk to children. But then why is that written in correlation to the emails? If you read the way the notes are written, it's written in correlation to the emails. And this is what it's saying. It's saying, then it goes on to talk about how the former FBI director James Comey did everything basically out of political bias. I mean, or political consideration. He didn't try to be objective or unbiased or follow any of the norms that are established to keep federal agencies from intervening inside of an election year. But see, there's two different things. For Director Comey to intervene during the election year was okay when it was Hillary, because Hillary, there was actually proof of the crime. There was, the emails. I mean, there's crime committed. There was evidence, right? Then with President Trump, the whole argument goes like this, okay? First, they say, President Trump had that looked into. There was no evidence. There's no reason why Director Comey should have even started that investigation, or had his underlings started, or go to the wherever and get it going with the FISA court application, with the Steele dossier, sending Peter Strzok on this Operation Crossfire Hurricane across and over to London and to get the dossier itself. All of that should have never been initiated, because there was no probable cause. There was no evidence. And the probable cause that was presented was from informants from the FBI. They were planting their own people to create the seed, to sow the seeds of doubt, to get a judge to sign off on furthering FISA warrants. Okay? I hope I'm explaining this fairly closely and accurately, but I'm just trying to go through the main points here as we talk about it. But here's an important thing. Here, I'll pull this one piece up. I'll read it directly from the article to you. These facts create a strong inference that by squelching the Clinton investigation and building a narrative of Trump-Russia collusion, a group of government officials sought to bolster Mrs. Clinton's electoral chances and, if the unthinkable happened, obtain an insurance policy to cripple the Trump administration with accusations of illegitimacy. I cannot summarize it better than that. That is the crux of it. That is the whole premise for why there's being an argument made, fruit of the fruit of the poisonous tree theory or argument, basically stating that the bias created by having people like Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and others at the FBI working taints everything that happened and creates the possibility that this was the actual sequence of events that happened before the election in 2016. That they put out the Clinton investigation and they started the Trump collusion investigation at the same time in order to both help the President Clinton have a chance at becoming elected and also have a way to undermine the legitimacy of the President Trump's administration prior to him being elected. That's pretty much it. I mean, and the article goes on to explain. It gives court cases. It talks about the fact that how when there is a perceived bias that it taints an entire investigation. It doesn't matter what if you could even say Mueller's great and he's never done anything wrong, which is completely false in my opinion. But you could say all that. But it wouldn't matter because you have proof that there are biased people who are working in this investigation from the get-go. Therefore, all of the evidence, all of the evidentiary findings, all of the investigatory efforts and work, all of that has to be basically looked at through a different lens. And it can actually at least give us the ability to stop and halt and pause the Mueller investigation as it stands right now. The anti-Trump rhetoric, yes, we all know. Strong evidence of a crime can overcome this policy, which is what happened with Mrs. Clinton's private email server. But again, there was no Russian evidence between President Trump and Russia. So, look, there's obviously more to this. It talks about how when they started this crossfire hurricane operation, they neglected the most important question. If Russia promised unspecified dirt on Mrs. Clinton but never delivered it, how would that amount to collusion with the Trump campaign? And it says, given everyone else talks to people from other countries, you know. Anyway, this is what we're dealing with. There's even more in this article. If you guys want to read it, it's up on the Wall Street Journal, Mueller's Fruit of the Poisonous Tree, and there's a link to it here on President Trump's Twitter page. But that to me is something that had to be covered. We have to reiterate these things because they're so important. And as of now, you just now have the Department of Justice giving and handing over new classified documents on the Russia probe. We'll see what these amount to. But right now, it's basically Speaker Ryan has said that they've partially complied with the subpoenas, meaning they didn't give us all the documents. They didn't give us everything. But once again, that's the DOJ for you. They just don't want to turn over anything to Congress for oversight because they seem to think that they know better than us. And that, to me, is very worrisome and troublesome. And especially given the fact that they've classified information that's obviously not a threat to national security in the past, which would lead me to believe that They are classifying information now that's not a threat to national security, merely for the fact that it's going to keep them from being implicated in further crimes that have been committed. So, or even if not crimes, procedural misdoings, whatever you want to call it. You guys give it a term, I would say, whatever it is. But yeah, this is where we're at. So you guys let me know what you think. As always, I want to say thank you for watching. A couple quick announcements before we end this video. First of all, as soon as more Q gets up there, I'm going to definitely be right on it, so you guys can look forward to that. But I want to thank everybody for watching, first of all. But the announcements I want to make are probably repeats if you guys have watched the channel. But I just want to give another shout out, as I always try to here, giving this a good hype up now. The American Priority Conference is going on in Washington, D.C., September 6th through 8th. There's going to be some really incredible people there who I'm really looking forward to being able to learn from and to talk to and to get some information. I plan on live streaming from the event. Hopefully I'll be able to live stream. If not, I'll just try to make videos and get them posted really quick. But I'm going to get content up because there's going to be great people there that I think you're all going to want to hear from, like Mike Cernovich and possibly Jack Posobiec and CJ Pearson and Laura Loomer and Matt Couch and Lee Stranahan and just so many incredible people that it's just going to be a really incredible time. It's going to be a really incredible gathering of minds there to get a lot of information done. And I'm just incredibly blessed to be a part of it and thankful. So again, we are making incredible effort or making incredible headway here on the justinformednews.com website GoFundMe. So if you guys want to contribute to that, go to gofundme.com/justinformedtalk and share what you can. And we're almost at the goal of 5,000. So if you guys get me there, I mean, I'm going to have this website up by the end of the month, hopefully. So thank you to everyone. I mean, there's just been so many generous donors that are helping me get this website up. I'm just thankful. So again, gofundme.com/justinformedtalk. That's really cool. I really appreciate it. Now, before we get going here, I want to talk about a few things. If you're looking to help the channel itself, the best way to do it, this is the one that makes a difference, guys, truly. Everything else helps, but this is the one that makes a big difference, and it's free to you, is to come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That's just the best way you can help the channel. I really appreciate it, and thank you to everybody. If you have not hit that, please come hit it. Now, the second best way is to scroll down at the end of this video, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments because, as I say, we try to have our own QAnon research board at the end of each one of these videos, where we just have a great amount of thoughtful, intellectual, insightful people who give their take on what's going on, the news, with what we cover here in the videos, and highlighting things that need to be highlighted. It's just a really good conversation going on down there. So even if you can't comment, scroll down and read through the comments. Guarantee you're going to learn something you didn't know prior to coming here to the channel. Now, come over here to patreon.com if you're looking to support the channel financially. This is just a monthly donation that basically is like gets the bills paid here and gets everything up on time. It's purely donation, and I really appreciate it. It's what keeps the channel up and running 24/7, 365, so I can bring this content to you at least or every day, if not multiple times a day. But that's patreon.com, patreon.com. You search Justin Informed Talk. You come here to this landing page, click this button to become a patron. I have some rewards and goals, so it's not just a one-way street. Yes, the hats have been shipped, so if you're expecting a hat for your contribution, you guys are in for a treat. They're great hats and they're great conversation pieces. So if you want to get more information on that, come over to Patreon, check it out. I thank you all in advance for coming. Now, before we go, we're going to talk about the most important thing. And that thing is God and His grace. And when talking about God, all I want is for everyone to know the blessing of the Lord, the blessings that the Lord can give you, the many blessings that He has for you. And God gives you a voice for a reason. God gives you your own free will for a reason. God puts you in positions every day for reasons that you may never understand until you're much older, or you're in a different situation or a different time in your life. But when you get to that point, it'll all be certainly worth it. And just remember, what do you want to have when you look back? Do you want to have the blessing of the Lord, or do you want to live outside of that without it? Because I think too many people in our society just jump right into that thought process of God's not important, or God doesn't exist, or yeah, God's good, but I'm busy. Please remember, God has to be everything you live for. If you put him on high and lift him up every day, you will see your blessings multiply. You will see the blessing of the Lord. And all I can say is that I pray every day that people, not just those who I know personally, but everyone out there, those who are listening here, you receive the blessings of the Lord, and that you see your blessings multiply through your faith, through your devotion, through your commitment to following God and doing and following the scripture and following the commandments. These things are what are most important. And I just want to share this quick verse from Psalm 124. It says, "The Lord is on our side," and this is just really good. It touches my heart. It says, "If the Lord had not been on our side," let Israel say, "if the Lord had not been on our side when men attacked us, then they would have swallowed us alive. In their burning anger against us, then the waters would have engulfed us. The torrent would have swept over us. The raging waters would have swept over us. Praise the Lord, who has not let us be ripped apart by their teeth. We have escaped like a bird from the hunter's net. The net is torn, and we have escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." So just remember, the Lord is on your side, and no matter what situation we are going through, blessings can come through our perseverance, through our existence, our perseverance and faith through our existence, our perseverance and our commitment to God through our existence. That's how we make our blessings multiply and become many. But it just takes praising the Lord. It takes having that faith that he will not let destruction come onto you. And that if he does, or if it does happen, as I believe everything is certainly a part of God's plan, that there's a reason for it. And that the worst possible scenario is that you end up with God. So that's where I go with it. And I just hope you guys let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm always interested to hear your thoughts about it. But that's pretty much going to be it for this episode. I want to say thank you for watching. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, now's a great time to do it. Come here, please hit the big red subscribe button. Please make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you're notified. It helps out the channel big time. But that's pretty much going to be it. Again, thank you for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.